I'm Triple J and welcome to Brain Food, where I tell you what's yummy and nutritious for your head. For today's episode, I have a very special book called Folklore and Other Stories, written by Ankhessen Mie. Apologies if I mispronounced your name. Now, this is an anthology of romance short stories. There are 3 of them, and each took me about 2 to 3 hours to read and cost me $10 on the Kindle app. And let me tell you, that was worth every cent I paid for it. Now, I do have to admit something. I get really tired of romance stories sometimes. Sometimes I see that even romance subplot are wedged into every kind of stories these days, and it often comes at the expense of the story itself. However, when it's done as well as it was in this anthology, my fatigue over romance dissipates and I become wholly absorbed in the story, as I was with this book. Now, Ankhessen Mie has 2 major themes running through this anthology, which is love and storytelling. However, if you dig deeper, you find that there's a 3rd theme to these stories, which is the love of storytelling and how it can sweep us off our feet. Despite its title, Folklore, there's no actual magic within the worlds that the characters reside in. So there's no time in which you see a witch go, "One! Make my monster grow!" Or you see an old man with a big long beard say, "You shall not pass!" And yet, these stories have a palatable magic to them that simply sweeps you off your feet. It's really rare for me to find a book that makes me feel this way, and it will make you feel the same way once you read it, which you should. Now, the first story centers around the leader of a powerful Japanese mafia organization being led away from his life by the story of a powerful prince in an old African nation located somewhere around Libya. In the tale within a tale, Prince Ahmed leaves his kingdom after he falls in love with the daughter of a goldsmither, Jezeret, after she leaves him an exquisitely carved mask of gold, payment in return for executing her father's murderer. Now, Kazuya, the leader of the Akakumo, can easily be described as being very, very tired. And why is that? Well, he's simply not that kind of man. And what kind of man is that? Well, a gang leader, of course. Kazuya is weighed down by the responsibilities of following in his father's footsteps, and never being given the chance of doing anything else with his life. It is hinted at, though, that this is something that Kazuya's father himself could not avoid, that he had to follow the path laid for him by his father, as Kazuya had to follow the path laid for him by his father. However, unlike his father, Kazuya does have a way out, and that's through Prince Ahmed's story, as symbolized by the golden mask that an undercover detective, Amisi Ryan, leaves him. It is my belief that after receiving this mask, Kazuya subconsciously wants a way out of this life, and even possibly, well, very quite possibly, encountering a very sudden and violent death, just like his father. He wants it so strongly that he daydreams about Amisi and the mask and Prince Ahmed until he finally leaves everything behind to pursue her. In the second story, we follow Rory Zheng, a scholar who moves into a beautifully designed home as part of a ploy by his 2 older friends, Mr. and Mrs. Liang, to set him up with a girlfriend. Now, on the surface, this sounds like the plot to a romantic comedy, but the story quickly proves it's not. Instead, we're treated to a story where Rory, as well as Alora Mitchell, the woman that the Liangs are trying to set up with Rory, both find something that they weren't really looking for in the first place. After all, Rory is a dedicated bachelor and scholar, and Alora herself is married with a child and running her father's estate. by herself, since her husband, Michael, is a beatnik photographer who basically flies all over the world and spends her money. Both Rory and Olalara are stuck in their lives to some degree, with Rory wanting nothing more than to spend all his time with books, and Olalara running her father's estate and raising her daughter all on her own, since Michael's almost never around. Despite being alive, they both need each other to start living again, and by the end of the story you honestly don't feel too bad, or well, at all, that Rory ended up pursuing someone who was already married, and that Olalara was unfaithful in her marriage, especially since Michael himself was really unfaithful to her, just not in the traditional sense of cheating with someone. And I could go on and on about this story, but I feel that if I do, well, not only will this video be hours and hours long, but I'm afraid of taking away some of the magic that this story has and that I want you to find out. And I haven't even gotten to the final story itself, which is about love, divorce, and reconciliation. Jason Ring is a professional university professor who is seeking a divorce from his wife, Muriel, in order to spend the rest of his life with his new girlfriend, Mirabelle. However, it quickly becomes much more complicated than we're initially led to believe. Through Mirabelle's point of view, we're led to believe that the relationship between Jason and Muriel is cold and unfeeling, maybe even a bit, well, emotionally abusive, as Muriel herself is very rich, very privileged, and also an alpha woman. However, Ankhessen Mie does a really wonderful job of painting all three characters as very human, flawed, while the story tells us that our hearts can get twisted up in what we think we want and what we really want. Even though this story is the shortest of the trio, again, I don't want to go too in-depth upon it. Not because it's shallow, but because I'm afraid of stripping away the magic that I want you to discover. If I do have one complaint though, it's on a technical level, which is that every now and then when you're reading, you're going to find a missing word in a sentence here and there. I'm not sure if it's the fault of the editor or the writer, but it's such a minor thing that when you do encounter it, your brain almost automatically fills in the word for you, and it hardly detracts from the stories. All in all, this book, this wonderful book, Folklore and Other Stories, is such a fantastic, enchanting book. It really is. And the price you pay for this magic is that you get really drawn into it.
All magic comes with a price.
It's a prime example of just how powerful and captivating the written word still is, especially in this age of digital devices. And you have to read it. You just really have to read it. I'm Triple J, and that's all I got left to say. Take care.
Nature, nurture, heaven and home. Some of all and by them driven to conquer every mountain shown, but I've never crossed the river. Brave the forest, brave the stone, brave the icy winds and fire, braved and beat them on my own, yet I'm helpless by the river. Angel, angel, what have I done? I faced the quakes, the wind, the fire. I've conquered country, crowd.